Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of the To The Point podcast. I'm Zach Bloom, alongside my co-host.
I'm Sean McCormick. We didn't get canceled yet.
For now, so far so good.
Maybe a cease and desist by the time the show's over.
You never know.
Don't know.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah? What's new in the life of Sean McCormick?
Mets are on to the NLCS. Pretty
That's right.
Freaking awesome. Daughter won her first soccer game this couple days ago.
Awesome.
So that was good. It's been a rough start to the season. Sorry, Ella, if you're watching this at some point. It's been a rough season.
What was the score?
7-0.
All right, so they kind of exercised some demons there.
They saved all of their goals for one game.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. And Mets are rolling, buddy.
Let's freaking rock.
We might have a Subway Series on our hands. Yankees taking care of business, but the Mets, I think, probably a little more exciting than the Yankees right now in terms of expectations.
Well, I said this yesterday, and you didn't like it, but the Mets are playing with house money right now.
Right.
And so I think anything that happens here on out is just, it's beautiful.
It's been a weird season. Like, you guys started out like absolute garbage, right? And then, like the whole Grimace thing happened, right? Grimace threw out the first pitch.
Well, Grimace happened, and then Iglesias, I don't know if you know the backstory on that, but he wrote a song called
Right.
And so those two kind of like joined at the same time, and it really led to this like bonding, and like you watch after a home run or a big play, and they have the OMG sign, and I just feel like that also, like the bonding of that. There's been two pieces of glue, Grimace and then the OMG song.
So Grimace and OMG. And I think Haktua Girl threw out the first pitch on camp day because my son was at that game.
Did you spit on it?
The bus was late, so I didn't have to answer any questions about why Haktua Girl threw out the first pitch, but you got Grimace, OMG, Haktua, and the NLCS.
And I think the biggest thing is that Timmy Trumpets is gone. I don't know. We jinxed ourselves last year. That dude's gone. I haven't seen him. Hopefully they don't bring him back. And they just let Diaz do what Diaz does, which is he's like reminiscent of John Franco. He likes to get guys on base and then strike them out.
There's a lot going on over there. You guys just can't just have baseball. But it would be cool for this podcast, especially if we do have a Subway Series. So.
Well, look, I watched some of that Yankee game last night, and I will say this. Garrett Cole, the ball coming off his hand, just looks different than any of our pitchers, like any of our starters. Right. The pop that comes off, like his movement's different. It's hard to explain, but there is a clear difference, I think, in quality of pitching with their ace and the Mets.
When he's on, he's kind of like when you guys had DeGrom. He's like one of those handful of pitchers that just you want to watch pitch.
Yeah.
The dude's a gamer.
Us doing the show, you just kind of want to watch us do our thing.
Although he was shit-faced last night after the game, if you saw the interview. We'll be okay today, I think. It's a little too early in the day, but well, you never know. But I think enough sports for now. We have a great show today. We have a lead generation industry lifer joining us, Sabiha Tudesco. Multiple stops.
No, look, I'm really excited to speak with Sabiha today. She has a really interesting path to where she's gotten. I look at her as a high-level executive in our space, someone who really started at the bottom and rose to the top. And, you know, she's done a lot of really interesting things in her career. I believe where she's landed is really interesting because of we'll probably go over it on the show later today. Some of the new TCPA regs that came out yesterday, she is working in a company that actually has a solution for some of those things. But not the only reason why I'm excited to speak to her. She's a really good person. She has really positive energy, and she's a strong DEI activist in our space. And so she's just really doing everything she can to push humanity forward.
I agree. We've had the pleasure of working with her and, hanging out at trade shows and whatnot over the years. And she's a great person, real person. Yeah. And I think she's one of the few people I could say that have probably been in the space as long as you. You guys go back a long way. So. Yeah,
it's funny. I'll probably tell her this later, but my wife asked me this morning who was going to be on the podcast. I said Sabiha, and she goes, "Oh, I don't know who she is." I go, "Well, she's in our space. Why would you?" But then I made the mistake of saying, "I've actually known her longer than you." To which she responded, "Well, why didn't you go ahead and marry her?" And then my response was off the cuff. That wasn't the one she was looking for. Okay. But I said, "I think I tried, and it didn't work out." Oh. Things are on ice at home right now because of my mouth, as usual.
Yeah. No surprise there, but we'll get into it. And coming up next, Sabiha.
Thanks.
Okay, so we have our guest today, Sabiha Tudesco. She's been in the lead generation space for a long time with stops at Innovation Ads, MediaWiz, AdQuire, formerly Permission Data, Zito, Fluent, to name a few, and now currently Permissionize. Sabiha, welcome to the Point.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so fun.
Yeah, I think also when I was kind of rattling off that list, I realized you probably have data on everybody like in the country. Like we can't lie at all to her right now. Like she knows everything about us.
I don't think we'd want to.
Data over the years.
Yeah, you know probably how much I owe in taxes, and I don't want to get into it. So
whether or not you're a homeowner or a renter.
Right. So what's going on, Sabiha? How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for asking me to be here today. I'm always happy when I get to talk to you guys. So
that's nice.
Today, I'm so excited to be a part of this new podcast that you guys started. So super fun. And I'm really excited to increase the network of audience that you guys kind of bring into this new podcast and female presence specifically. So super excited. Thank you for having me.
So I think we were talking a little bit before the show. Maybe, I'm always curious how people get into this space. And, those that get in usually don't leave. But I'm curious how you got into it and what you liked about it and, kind of what kept you in the space.
Gosh. Well, I went to college in Montclair, New Jersey. I went to Montclair State University, which landed me an internship in Manhattan while I was in college. And I always wanted to be in Manhattan. So I was just super excited to be working in Manhattan in college. I think it allowed me to very quickly learn how to just be fast-paced, quick on my feet, and it just taught me that's the type of environment that I really want to be in. My internship was at a modeling agency. I have a fashion degree, very general fashion degree, and I realized coming into Manhattan, it was super competitive and it was really hard to get a job specifically within fashion. However, I did get a full-time job coming out of that internship at a modeling agency. I just realized very quickly working in that environment wasn't necessarily for me. However, I stumbled into lead generation and digital marketing like many, many people do, and I'm so glad that I did. I was, working at my modeling agency job, and actually our graphic designer / club promoter invited me out one night to one of the clubs he was working at. And being, I don't know, 21 years old, I think, 22. I was like, of course, that's a great idea. So went out to support him. And some friends he introduced me to happened to work in digital marketing. And my friend Lindsay O'Neill actually was working in digital marketing. I met her that night. She gave me her business card and I had no idea what she was talking about, but I was very excited just to get a different job. She interviewed me. I accepted a job working underneath her, entry level, like account management, but really doing a variety of different things. And I just really knew that I didn't want to leave the space from the moment I started at that job, which was over 20 years ago now. Wow. So why do I love this industry? Like I said, I love the pace. I'm very fast paced in general. And I love the opportunity to connect and meet people, and this industry has really allowed me to expand my network as an adult. I've thought about it many times if I would ever leave, and I keep staying in it. And I do really think it's just because it really fits with the mold of who I am and the opportunity to constantly connect with new people and to work in an environment that's constantly changing. I am someone who loves to constantly bob and weave and deal with challenges, and this industry definitely brings you a lot of challenges. Every job that I've gone to is because of how I've been able to connect with people in my network. And when I meet really good people, I like to keep them in my network, and I like to leverage them for, how do you handle different challenges when you're building a business, or challenges within, regulations and rules changing. How are you guys going to handle this? How can we partner and work together? In working in business and getting the opportunity to talk so regularly, you get to know each other, and you end up being around the same age, and you get married around the same time, and you have kids around the same time. So you start to just build more than just a professional relationship, which is what makes it super cool.
I agree. So right now you're at Permissionize, correct?
I am. I started in May as a consultant and joined full-time in August, and it's It feels like it's been forever, but at the same time, it's really only been 2 months that I've been full time. And I feel like I'm already sleeping and breathing it. And I'm really enjoying everything about building a startup. It's been super fun.
So you came from a large publicly traded company to now a startup. How do you kind of balance the difference between the two? Because one, I'm sure you had legal and finance and tons of red tape, and now you're at a startup where you're probably reviewing some of the contracts. The founder is probably reviewing contracts. What's it like going from such a big company to a small company?
That's a really, really great question. I felt that the last opportunity was really amazing because I did have the chance to connect and get to know the leads of all these different departments, which taught me so much on how to
Mm.
navigate through accounting and building, onboarding a CRM, or how to look at certain things from a legal perspective or a compliance perspective, or add creative, do's and don'ts. Like in working with all these different teams, whether it's working in a public company or working for a smaller company where you have to really roll up your sleeves and do things on your own. I've had that opportunity to be a part of both. And it's a lot of work either way.
Yeah.
And I think you say bigger company, more red tape, more rules, more things to jump through. It takes longer. But then smaller company, you have to do everything. So you are working sometimes more, right? But you also have to think, how can I be more efficient? Maybe I don't want to sit in all these meetings every day. And no, wait, I can say I don't want to sit in these meetings every day, and I'm not going to. So I think, you can still take a lot of what you learn in a startup environment and bring that to more of a corporate or public culture, but you need to be able to be respected and have that opportunity to be a voice in the room to do that. And one of my mentors once told me that you should really just focus on, three big things a week.
Mm.
And I think you really should focus on that, whether you're at a big public company or a startup. And it should always be quality over quantity, regardless of which type of environment that you're in. And always just taking a step back and thinking about how you could always drive that quality.
Being on both sides of the fence, having gotten to work at both a publicly traded company and now a startup, do you prefer one to the other?
All I can say is they're different and they're both, they all have their pros and they all have their cons. What I really loved about my experience about working at a public company is I got the opportunity to meet with so many different and intelligent talents at a very high level. So for me, at any company that I ever decide to be at, I always want to learn and I always want to bring value. And I always had that opportunity there. Sometimes I think I had too much opportunity. It was hard to just wear one hat because I was always seen as the person that could do everything. That is generally my problem at any size company. However, at a smaller company, I can say, no, this is all I should be doing, I believe, because this is what I know our goals are. And if something has changed, let me know, but this is what I'm going to focus on right now. And you hired me to make this decision. I'm going to make this decision. If we don't agree, let's talk about it. But this is what we're going to do today. So just being able to stand for yourself and your values and the experience that you have to be able to make those decisions. I like being in a smaller environment because of that, but it's not comfortable. It's still having that conversation could mean someone can open the door and say, I don't think we're aligned here, and I think you should leave. So that could always happen, right? But at the same time, I was brought on to Permissionize. I'm so excited to build something super exciting, something unique, something innovative. And I feel that I'm working with an amazing team that will allow me to do that. So it's been super fun so far. But I am struggling, and I struggled with my last company too, with the battle of how many hours do I want to put into this every day? How do I define my time every day? How do I ensure the first thing I do when I wake up is not open my laptop? How do I ensure that's not the last thing I do every day? I do really, still look for that balance no matter where I am. And with my kids being older and leaving my house in a few years, I look for that even more now than ever. And I also look at my experiences, and I think at different times in my career, I looked at my career as the end all be all, and I've missed some of those years in my with my kids when they were 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I'm traveling to every LeadsCon and every affiliate summit. And I've gotten much better at saying, I don't think I need to go to that. I think I'm much better off being in the office right now, getting this project pushed forward. And it's funny because over the years, more recently, people have said, I haven't seen you around. And it's because I've been much more thoughtful about where my time and energy is being spent.
Yeah. I've suffered from anxiety over the years.
Yeah.
And I know you probably don't. I don't know if you ever feel anxiety, but you don't. But for me, after we sold Inbound Media Group to EXL Service, once I got embedded into that environment where we had Teams and Outlook and all of the Microsoft apps, I got to be honest with you, I started getting like severe anxiety when I'd wake up in the morning. First thing I'd do before I got out of bed was I'd check Teams. And we had a team in India, so you'd wake up and, as soon as you take your phone off of airplane mode, it's like ding, 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 ding. And so I wouldn't get out of bed until like I've answered all of my notes on Teams. And then I probably should have closed it out, but then I'd open Outlook and I'd have to see, I'd look and see what my day had to offer for me. And I would always start my day in a really anxiety riddled mode. And do you have you balanced that? Have you found a way to balance that in your career where you're starting your day at least even keel? And after Sabiha, I'd love to hear how you've kind of approached that as well.
I literally struggle with it every week. Last week I was better. I would wake up and I would light candles and I would pull up the things I'm supposed to journal about every day and try to do it every day, as painful as it was. And then I would just try to sit and collect my thoughts and think about my day, but like not actually like open my computer, but just like think. And then that would like really help me. And then I would just say, okay, I have however much amount of time before I need to get online right now. Go do something else, whether it's exercise, take my dog on a walk, meal prep. Sometimes I'll do that in the morning to make making dinner easier later in the day, but it's not working. And then I feel like I've been productive with something. I'm a morning person. So if I jump into work immediately, I'm burnt out by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And like I said, I struggle with that. And I struggled with that this week. Last week I was better. This week I struggled because I just felt like I need to get more done. I need more hours in the day. And it ended up hurting me because by the end of the week, I felt burnt out. So I struggle with it, but I really have to tell myself to give myself the time, because when I give myself the time, I'm so much more patient and less more anxious throughout the day, and just I feel like much more like just better about things. But I definitely am a very active person, and I do need to exercise to feel regulated. So if I don't do that every few days, I definitely I'm not myself. So that is something I need to incorporate into my routine every day. I am very much like a calendar oriented person. Everything is in my calendar. I do have to-do lists. I'm quite organized, and I will say that is how I'm probably able to accomplish and be as efficient as I am. But sometimes being as regimented makes you crazy because you just never relax. So I struggle with that.
For me, so I mean, you can never relax, right? And I think that's more apparent like in a startup mode. So I prefer startup mode and kind of being small company owner. Time is your most valuable asset. So I think if I've done anything well over the years, it's learn how to value my time. So I think having the phone, it's a blessing and a curse, right? You have access to your email, you have access to your clients, you can always check your SaaS platforms anytime, anywhere without the ability to turn that off unless you want to. I think when you're part of a more corporate environment, you kind of have to lay some expectations down, because then if you keep doing it all the time, you're going to be expected to do it. And that's not fair. But that being said, you know very well I have insomnia, so I'm not a morning person, but I'll be up, sometimes I'll work midnight to 2. But I can get a lot done in those 2 hours where I feel like, all right, I kind of got ahead. I'm good now. So
is I can get so much done at 4 a.m,
yeah.
But I do because no one bothers me. I mean, we have staff internationally, but generally speaking, no one knows I'm up, so no one's really bothering me. But it's generally not a good thing, and it's something I've done for many, many years, and I am really trying to stop not do that anymore. And Two other things that I've really started to do, and this has been over the past few years, is when I go on vacation, I go on vacation. I built processes and teams to support me while I'm out, so I can be out. I think that's very important, and that takes work. You have to build processes and teams and documentation to be able to handle things while you're out. So you're not getting phone calls all the time. So I'm really out when I'm out. And also when I'm done for the day, I say I'm done for the day because then people know
You
I'm
say
done.
that to yourself?
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like
the end of the day?
so.
I'm done for the day. Yes.
Okay.
And I do think it gives me a sense of like, okay, now I could be mom.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't say that, then I'm on my phone. I'm trying to do this. I'm not paying attention to work properly, or I'm not paying attention to my kids properly. And then I get anxious, and then I get impatient, and then I'm not my best self. So
I like what you said about the vacation aspect of that too, because that was something I always struggled with was, you go on a family vacation. For me, it wasn't anxiety, but I couldn't really relax unless I knew like, all right, I answered this, I took care of this without really trusting that anyone on your out of office message could handle it. And over the last couple of years, at least for me, I've taken a few vacations, both with family and also just like my wife and I for, long weekend somewhere. And I have completely tried to disconnect, and it's made a big difference.
I love work. Like, for whatever reason, it might be an addiction in some way. So when I go away, it takes me 3 days to just like stop. Like, we're not thinking about work. We're not thinking about this day. We're not thinking about it. And after the third day, day 4, I'm like cool as a cucumber. I'm feeling good. And then it's usually like day 4 through 7, right? Where it's like the best time. By the time day 7 comes around, I think my wife's like, all right, I'm ready to go home and see the kids. And I'm like, I'm just getting started. I'm ready. I'm vacation Sean now.
You should go away for 10 days.
I might go for 10 days.
Problem solved. So Permissionize, we're there now. What's new and exciting in Permissionize?
what's new and exciting at Permissionize? Oh my gosh, so much. So really what we're focused on is, driving, one-to-one consent. And helping brands, publishers, platforms navigate through all these new changes that are starting already in Medicare and going to be happening across the board within a few months. Just really being an ideal solution for customers, whether it's a brand or a publisher, like I said, a platform who's just wanting to ensure that when they have to change to ensure they're doing one-to-one consent collection, that they're doing it in the best way possible. We have a solution that allows you to collect consent. It captures the token, it provides a playback, and again, it could really be for email consent, it could be for phone consent. The use cases could be varied. It's also not just only about collecting consent, but it's also a solution that's going to help companies navigate through the changes of serving one-to-one branded offerings. We have a solution that can basically determine which brands should be inserted within the disclaimer, and that is also a solution that can determine which disclaimer should be shown. It's all JavaScript based. It can be super customizable, flexible from an integration standpoint as well as from a pricing standpoint. I'm in the process right now where it's really in beta. We're bringing it out to market. I love having conversations with companies, understanding their problems and figuring out solutions and working with product and developers and putting all the things together to make, just tie up a perfect package with a pretty bow and just making people feel good about just all this uncertainty that's about to happen. Something that I've always cared so much about, and this is probably what drove me to Permissionize, is driving quality and being trusted and being authentic. And this solution was really built just because we felt that there were certain gaps in the marketplace that customers that exist, and we want customers to feel secure and certain when they are capturing data and collecting consent. So when I heard Permissionize was building it, and they were in need of someone to really lead the charge with it, I was super excited to come on board. So that's really what I'm focused on is our Permission Trust product, but also Permissionize offers so much more. We have a platform that basically can build amazing data sets and audiences for our advertisers and then go out and signal for when consumers are online within this data set and serve targeted in-market clicks to our advertisers. And we can do it from start to finish. It's provides super highly targeted traffic for buyers. Right now, we're seeing tons of success in financial services, also breaking out into insurance, home services, and I'm just super excited to continue to expand and not only expand the marketplace of advertisers that we're bringing on, but also the traffic. I have a lot of experience in building publisher networks and working with publishers. It's really exciting to help build out that solution in addition to work on the permission trust solution. They're two different things, so I have to find time for both of those every day and every week. And a lot of the times I'm making sure that as a team, my team's aligned and knowing that, hey, today it's all permission trust. Tomorrow it's all focused on the permissionized platform. I'm also very operationally involved in getting a CRM in place, getting project management in place, any hiring that's being done, ensuring that we're staffing accordingly. So I sit in very much like a operating role. So for me, it's getting the team, getting the company operating and being as efficient as possible, onboarding the best and brightest customers, whether it's for a permissionized platform or permission trust, but just continuing to drive a quality solution, whatever it is.
So I probably have 10 questions from.
My God!
To summarize, you're not doing that much then, right? So
it's a lot. It's a lot to manage and navigate. So, like, how do you go about selecting the right CRM? Is it one you've used before that you're comfortable with, or how does your brain start to think about, like, okay, this is what the team needs, this is what we should probably be implementing?
So when I think about solutions, I think about, what are our needs, and then also how do all of our systems integrate with each other? I just want to make sure that any platform I choose can easily be integrated, and we're not just, okay, we've got a CRM, but we still have to do an accounting and spreadsheets. And we have workflow, but that doesn't tie with this because of that. And we're never really going to fix that because of this. I look for simple platforms that have multifaceted integrations that are reasonably priced and also decent customer service. So it's just always looking for efficiency, really. And when it comes to CRM, I like HubSpot. I've tried a lot of them, and it's just basic. I've always really liked how it's tied in, like your email activity into your dashboard. I'm sure it's more robust now than it was years ago. I'm actually in the process right now of still onboarding the CRM. My biggest thing was getting our workflow management system in place. We use ClickUp. It has the chat function, and we started using it because we were on Skype, and I hate Skype.
Yeah. So 2 thumbs up for the chat function, or no?
Yeah, look at that. We just won. What happened?
Oh, yes.
We won.
What happens if you give 2 thumbs down?
I don't know.
I don't know. The whole thing just blew. This whole podcast.
Yeah, that was crazy. Fireworks.
But we are looking at. I was trying to get Zach to look at ClickUp, but he doesn't like change. So working with a business partner that doesn't like change, sometimes it takes time.
I know that all too well. I've dealt with that at Permissionize as well. Who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say his name. And he loves it now. He loves it. So we can talk offline about ClickUp. I can help you with ClickUp.
This is good because if we go to it and you don't like it, you have someone to blame besides me.
So that was a really big thing that I've been focused on, and the CRM will come. So yeah, I don't even know what the question was.
I have no idea.
But all of August I spent learning and getting tools in place and hiring, and now it's really building the business and the pipeline and getting permission trust to market and working through bugs and QAing with our development team, which is when it gets super fun,
Yeah.
So I guess what's the pitch for permission trust? Because I understand what it does. I understand why it's important. I also know you're the third entrant to a market offering the solution. So
great question. I think every customer has their own things that they work. They've all built their businesses their own ways, right? And everyone has their own needs. Permission trust is really meant to be a product that fits your needs from a consent perspective. Every customer could have different needs. Someone may want to store every single token and they just want to ensure that they have them all the time. one customer may not want to store tokens, and they just want to ensure that they can request a playback and the token when needed. There's other companies that are uncertain on how they're going to navigate with one-to-one consent and know which brand to insert within their disclaimer and how to be able to do that quickly. Our technology can help you do that. The really cool thing too about the fact that we're a startup and we've got a very agile development team is I'm really trying to just hear like what people need.
Yeah.
Ensuring that it's a product that gives them that at a good value and isn't just costing them more money. Like I just want people to feel that when they're doing lead generation and when they're collecting consent and they're working through all these new changes, that they can sleep at night and know that they're not going to be slapped on the wrist every 2 seconds with a lawsuit. It's a solution that gives you protection. And I would love to explain further if anyone wants to hear how it provides protection. But it really just ensures that if a request comes your way for a consumer who says they have not given consent, that you have everything you absolutely need to say, yes, this consumer has given the consent. Here's the information. Here are the brands they have given consent to. Here's the true playback. Thank you very much. Let's move on. And it's a solution that, I'm excited to sit, up against or next to the other companies that play in the space. I really look at everything as there should always be many players in any industry. There should always be multiple eggs in any basket. I don't think there's any one good company that does everything well. I think everyone could have different benefits. And a lot of it too just goes into the relationship and what a company may need versus what we provide. A lot of it could be like dating, right? Maybe someone likes working with me personally versus someone at the other company. It's just, I want to make sure that I provide the best solution, and I want to make sure that it is not expensive and it's
So the April 5th TCPA changes were announced, and it seems like there's really three big components to it. One, you must allow consumers to revoke consent in any reasonable manner. And so I think it's going to probably be defined a little bit more further, like what reasonable manner means. The second is the opt-out request must be processed within 10 business days. And then the third is you can send a one-time message within 5 minutes to confirm or clarify an opt-out, right? And then after that, you're done. No more communication. So knowing that the rules of engagement are changing for TCPA, without giving too much of your future product roadmap, do you foresee Permission Trust helping support some of those TCPA changes in the future when it comes to either revoking consent, opt-out processing, opt-out requests, or ensuring that there's no way to communicate with the consumer any further after that 5-minute time has elapsed?
100%. That's been, I think, the trickiest part about building this product is just in the 2 months that I've been here full time, things keep changing, and we have to keep building more features into the product to be able to adapt to everything that's coming about so we can provide that safety and security to our customers as these rules come into play in April. So yes, absolutely, it's conversations that we need to have with our development team on how are we going to ensure that we're going to be able to support all of these different things that are just coming into play. So I can't say it exists today because all these rules are so murky. It seems that everyone's so unsure every single day on what they should be doing. So I'm actually happy in a way that things are starting to get a little bit more clear, solidified. So we all know, like, okay, now we know we need to do these things. Let's go build it and make sure I can test QA and it's a product that everyone feels good about. But now I need to talk to my lawyer like on Monday.
And then with that, with all these changes with consent that are coming that everybody's talking about, Sabiha, you're probably one of the biggest experts of this space. Where do you see the lead generation space going with this consent ruling?
It's really scary, but I think that in a way it's very good because I've always cared so much about the consumer in anything that I've ever done, whether it's working with a brand or being the publisher. I've always cared about the consumer. And I think unfortunately what's happened over, however many years, 10, 15 years, there's been a lot of greed. And the consumer's gotten hurt and the industry's gotten hurt because of it. And things need to change. And everyone needs to really evolve and, think about the customer and think about quality. And, maybe traffic is going to get more expensive, and, we're going to have to ask advertisers for higher CPCs and higher CPLs, and it's going to be really hard to explain things, but that just means that everyone needs to provide a transparent and high quality product. It should be clear. If a consumer wants to hear from a brand, they should remember that they opted into that brand. I don't think that's been happening over the past few years. I think consumers are getting too much, and unfortunately it's diluted the quality and it's turned brands away from lead generation. So I think it's on all of us to clean up our act and to innovate quickly and to lean in and be strategic with all of our partners so we can all survive, because it's going to change. And honestly, it should have never changed. It should have always been one-to-one from the get-go, because as a consumer, if I'm interested in hearing about solar panels, I want to have one conversation at a time, and I want to be able to make that decision thoughtfully. And I don't want to get pummeled with text messages and phone calls and emails and direct mail within 3 days. I'm going to find marketing gross, and I want to feel marketing is effective.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I think, you said it really well. As people forget about the consumer, you kind of suggested how it's changed.
It's funny because as Sabiha was speaking, I was thinking, I'm like, I wonder what's the most she's ever charged for a cost per lead in co-reg.
Cost per leads could be very high if you speak to the value of the lead. And if a brand wants to collect certain information on a consumer and they need to be of a specific target audience, then they have to understand that they have to pay for that record. And not only that, they have to have the marketing initiatives on the back end to support being able to pay for that record, right? Yeah. So I would say the ranges have been in the pennies to, hundreds of dollars in some cases. It got really interesting when I was doing a lot more in like pharmaceutical, right? Because you're advertising to a very niche audience, and you can't even put your brand in front of that audience until they've hit certain criteria. So there's all this disqualification that happens before you even serve a brand. So those CPLs used to be all the way through the roof, and the amount of creative back and forth on, ensuring that you're compliant and running everything properly just to get live would take 2 years sometimes with those programs, but the budgets were huge and it was worth it. I miss those days.
Well, first you said something that really sparked, some thought, right? And it was prices for leads are going to go up. And it's so funny because we were charging more for leads back in 2003 and 2004 than we are today. And that's really bizarre when you look at
100%.
Right.
Inflation and everything has gone up in price, but lead pricing has gone down. And so we were talking about this pre-show and how we got here. In 2003, that was that's what was really the start of co-reg in a really big way. And for those that don't know, co-reg is a type of marketing that allows advertising to piggyback off of existing registration flows. So you think of, back in the day, Sabiha, I think you worked with them. I know I did. We probably flip-flop like exclusivity with New York Times, right? And so New York Times would run a co-reg flow. And so the consumer would enter their email address to read an article back then. And then on the thank you page, confirmation page, all of the contact information was pre-filled. The consumer didn't see it, but they can then select a number of different offers. So back in 03, 04, we were showing only between 6 to 8 offers on a page. And the reason why and how that occurred was brands, specifically, we were working with LendingTree back then. LendingTree, we were doing a lot of email marketing for. And once the Can-Spam Act of 2003 came into play, they needed a way to be able to legally market to people and get them to fill out loan requests. I think back then we were charging like 25 cents per email, right? But what happened over the course of the next 5 years was really interesting. More and more brands came on and used co-registration as a marketing tactic. And we, being Sabiha and I, and there was others, but there was only a few subset of companies back in the day that were using the 6 to 8 offer stack. It was it was condensed on branded sites. Within a 12 to 24 months, there was like a mass gold rush to using co-registration to build up your marketing, your email database. And so Dell came into market almost probably the absolute worst time, because I think demand for lead gen was at its peak, and we were charging them $5 just for an email submit. University of Phoenix, for co-reg, we were charging them $40 a lead for a co-reg lead. That was name, email address, phone number, and it had 3 custom questions. I mean, it was,
not bad.
It was, but you think about it, and the quality was fantastic.
Right.
Because they were on content-based sites. They were non-incentivized users. The thank you page said, "Thank you for registering for the New York Times. To help keep this site free, please select one of the offers below from our sponsors." Yeah, that was it.
I think that's actually how I originally signed up for Netflix. It was probably a co-reg offer. No, that's a far cry from these, survey and sweepstakes and gift card paths right now. So,
without any of us getting sued here today, what happened after that, right? In your mind, why did the market move to gift cards, incentivization,
samples,
free samples?
Free samples.
What do you think happened?
Yeah, we need a way to solve this. And also companies are like, I can't just buy media and broker. I need to start building my own sites. And, what sites allows me to buy inexpensive media? How do I get a user interested in registering and signing up? What's a hook to get them interested, to get to know them, and then to potentially put a targeted ad in front of them, right? That's how it all kind of started, which is how can I build this engine? How can I buy the media? And then how much money do I need to make on the back end? And then how do I make that math work? And what's my day one revenue versus my long-term revenue with incorporating other sources like email and SMS and things like that. So it just ended up really growing within this small industry. And then I think there was, again, continued demand, and how can we continue to get more and more and more? And oh wait, now there's this gray area of, maybe we can use audience-based data to opt consumers into different types of campaigns. And then, building email acquisition started to change. And it wasn't so much of, here's a ConAgra ad, I'm going to sign up, but do you click at home? And all of a sudden I'm receiving a newsletter from 5 different newsletter companies. I don't remember that I signed up for those. That just started this evolution. And it started the evolution of, okay, great, now I can create more volume, but now I'm diluting quality. Quality is getting diluted, and now the rates are dropping. Okay, well, we still need to keep this going, so let's just all accept these low rates so we can just continue to keep this going. And this just continued to go for years and years and years until it got to the point where consumers start to get too many messages. They start to complain. They complain over email. They start to cry spam. They start to unsubscribe. So you start to see this happen with email, and then it starts to happen in the phone world. And now, it's affected not just the email, canned spam, one-to-one, just email consent, but now it's happening with TCPA rules and regulations. And it's just, I do think a lot of greed has gotten us to where we are today. And unfortunately, a lot of players aren't going to survive over it. I think just continuing to be transparent in how you are growing a customer database for a client, and always making sure that your client knows exactly what's going on, and that you feel like you're always being transparent and you're not losing that. I think if you always are doing that and being authentic and staying within those boundaries, then hopefully things don't get so wild west and messy and gross all over again.
So I like that.
Everyone just clean their act up so we can all still operate in this wonderful world of lead generation.
And I think we will. I think, maybe there will be like a quote unquote reset where some of it goes away, but all the changes and turmoil in the next, 6 to 12 months result in a much better marketplace. I think maybe the difficult conversations will be maybe first with the advertisers, where kind of need to re-educate them on pricing.
I have an immense amount of hope for lead generation and the future of it. And the reason why is, if you look at I'll just say the name of the company, they've done a tremendous job. Look at what Rokt has done in the past 5 years of getting content publishers, single offer stack, consumer express consent and opt-in.
They remember it.
They do. They do.
And guess what? I'm very familiar with that space, and transparency is key.
But another reason why I believe that the generation is going to find a renewed path forward is there are so many types of media that are ripe for co-reg that there's plenty of distribution for co-registration. It just needs to be embedded in the proper way. Why hasn't someone built a Shopify widget that allows Shopify sites to monetize post checkout? Like, there is so much traffic and distribution. No one's even figured out how to do display ads with it.
Calm down.
Sorry. I get excited about it. I love this space.
When you say, what do you say? The workday is over, or I'm not working anymore, or get out of here.
I'm done.
I'm done. When you say I'm done, what are you doing to relax, unwind, kind of forget about it?
Well, reality is I'm done, and then I'm running to practice, or picking someone up or grabbing something for dinner. So I'm done with work, so I could do the next thing, is what happens at that point. Fortunately, I will say once my kids go to bed, I really am just like done. I don't think I reset till the morning. So if I wake up and the first thing I do is work, then I never wiped off yesterday.
Yeah.
So I think everyone just needs to figure out, are they a morning person? Are they a nighttime person? I don't work out late in the day generally. I'm a morning workout person. So I know that, right? I know go to bed early because I work out early. So I just have to make sure that all those things happen. But what do I do when I turn off? I actually really enjoy paint by number. That's my newest.
Do you have anything you want to show the audience that you've...
My fridge right now. My best friend came over and she said I should frame it, but I was like, I still can see numbers through there. I still see the number 4 there. I'm not framing something. You see a number. No, that's just me like being able to shut off. I'll do that. I also really just like going on walks, and I just like focus on my dog. And then I immediately am like, okay, I've reset. Like I'm looking at like the kindest, best soul who loves me always. Who just waited all day for this moment, and I'm just going to enjoy it.
So I have a question for you. Your daughter just graduated from college. She comes home and she says, Mom, I want to go into performance marketing. What advice do you give her?
I would encourage it. I've had other family members join the industry years ago and did great. And I would just make sure that whatever role they choose matches who they are as an individual. And by then, I feel like the industry is going to iron out everything we're dealing with now. So I still got a few years for us to work through all that. So I'll feel okay about it.
Fair enough. You're not ready to hang up the jersey yet?
No.
Yeah.
Are there any like industry organizations that, or even though just for women or minorities that are looking to get involved in the space? Are there organizations or places you would recommend people go and start to network and get to know people and kind of grow in that way as well?
Yeah, no, definitely. So there's so much available. I just recently joined Link Unite, which I'm very upset I personally hadn't joined years ago. I've been watching from afar and so happy to see just that community build and grow, and it's so needed in this industry, which is very heavily male dominated, as we all know. So I'm super excited to just get more involved in that community. I also used to be a part of She Runs It, which is an amazing organization that I highly recommend for just really great content from different organizations. Could be someone from Chase that's speaking, someone from Clorox, someone from a platform. There's just a lot of really amazing content and people and networking opportunities through She Runs It. And then even if you just look up local meetups. I remember a few months ago, I was just looking up like digital meetups, tech meetups, and they're $15. And a lot of the times, like big brands are speaking, and it's a lot of like younger people trying to learn and find a way to maybe meet someone and get a job. But like, you're always going to learn 1 or 2 things at those events, and they cost $15. My big thing is I still live right outside Manhattan, and I make a point to get into Manhattan at least 2 or 3 times a month. Figuring out, who it is that I want to meet. Or do I want to go to a networking event, or do I want to have a lunch, or whatever it is, but just getting myself out there and just continuing to network, I think just as important in general, and finding those opportunities wherever you may live.
So I think you brought up a good point with networking and getting out there, because now maybe more than ever post COVID pandemic, a lot of people are either hybrid or work remote, which I personally think is a good thing. I know a lot of people have mixed opinions on that, but I do think one thing that gets lost in not having to go to work all the time are networking events. So to be able to kind of force yourself to do X amount of those a month, like I think you said 3 times, I think that's awesome. You've been doing it for a long time. Do you have any specific, like what's your favorite trade show to go to? What's one that you tell someone that's new to this industry, don't miss this one?
Oh, gosh. New to the industry, then I would say you should definitely go to Affiliate Summit in Las Vegas for the biggest experience. But it also depends on where in the industry your company's focused, because I'd say some of my favorite shows are the very vertical specific, smaller shows. Those have been, I think, the most fun. Some of the shows that I actually really enjoyed over the past year were the more small. This is a publisher event with just publishers and 1 or 2 platforms, and everyone gets the opportunity to sit at each table for 15 or 20 minutes, and it's a small and intimate audience, and everyone who goes is willing to have a conversation. I've gone to conferences, e-tail conferences, where brands act like they're celebrities and they don't want to talk to you. And
Expensive show, by the way, too. I think it's like
It is expensive.
I remember going a few years ago, and I was really upset when I left, because I'm all about going to shows and feeling like I've gone and I know I'll make more money back, and I've learned in return. And I left that show feeling like, oh God. I mean, I got to sit in some cool sessions, but it was really hard to meet people. And I feel that I'm a pretty personal person. So that I just, what's the purpose of a conference then?
So e-tail, if you're listening and you'd like more from the performance marketing industry, more attendees, maybe we can collaborate with Sabiha to figure out a way to get us coming back to the show.
Maybe a coupon code, something.
Let us all mingle, Come on.
Let her loose.
You're at the show. What's your favorite dinner experience?
Gosh, at a show and my favorite dinner experience. I like any experience that has really good quality food and just good ambiance, and it could be a small little cafe with just a few tables, and maybe a client just happened to know of the place, or it could be some really fun, great restaurant in Las Vegas that I don't get the opportunity to ever go to. I like to just try new experiences, and they don't always have to be the fanciest for me to enjoy them. I like feeling comfortable in my own skin, and I don't like feeling like I'm not good enough to be somewhere, and sometimes very expensive restaurants can make me feel that way. I feel like, Sean, we used to go to so many fun meals back in the day, and that's what we did. It was always a crazy adventure, but it was so fun. And I don't even think the food was ever all that good, but we just decided to take some experience we wouldn't normally do, So
it was never about the food, those experiences.
Food. It was about having
the people. Yeah.
Lots of fun with people and getting the opportunity to be together, which is fun at conferences, I think, is being able to meet with your industry friends and have cool experiences. And so, yeah.
It is nice a few times a year just to kind of get back and say hi. It's fun to see people and just, different stages of life to, see what they're up to.
100%.
Before we go, do you have a best industry friend you'd like to give a shout out to?
Best industry friend? I have 2 best friends that, I have so many amazing industry friends, so I don't want to upset anyone, but I think over the years that I've become very, very close with, and I just go to, I feel like they're like my brothers. Will, Eric, and Ari Suman, they're my favorite people ever. We've been through a lot over the years, and we've And I feel like I can call them up and email them and message them and be myself all the time, anytime. I can ask them for spreadsheet help and formulas. I can just go to them for advice and they could tell me how it is. Ari, I like to call my points guy too, because he gives me financial advice all the time. And I just, they're like my brothers, and I don't work with them anymore as colleagues, but I get the opportunity to work with them as friends and just feel like they're like part of my family. And this industry wouldn't have given me that opportunity. And they both were examples of, they were clients or publishers, and we just found an opportunity and wanted to find an opportunity to like work with each other as colleagues. And then we wanted to just always work with each other as colleagues and follow each other many years over and over. And those are the relationships that I find like truly special. So those are my two besties.
Your go-tos.
Nice.
I think everyone needs like a spreadsheet guru go-to.
Someone, yeah. I'm not that person. So.
Ari Stuman is my spreadsheet go-to person. Thank you, Ari Stuman.
I love it. Well, thank you very much for spending some time with us today. It's always nice getting to know you a little bit more. And I guess we'll see you at the next show.
Hopefully before that. Great.
Yeah, we really will. But for anybody watching and they want to get in touch with you, we'll post these links and everything.
Yes.
But how do we go about getting in touch with Sabiha?
You can get in touch with me via email, sabia.t@permissionized.com. You probably might want to look at the spelling because my name's a little tricky. So I'm sure Sean and Zach will share that with you. And then also LinkedIn is a great way to get in touch with me as well. And I hope that what I said and rambled on this wonderful Friday brought some value or was somewhat interesting. And I just really enjoyed talking to you guys. So thank you so much.
It's time to end the workday now. So,
guys.
Take care.
Bye, Sabiha.
Bye.
All right. So that was Sabiha Tudesco. That was fun. We're 2 for 2 with guests so far.
Yeah, she's brilliant. But one thing I like about her, she just has really good energy. She is someone that has tons of empathy. And if you ever have a need or you're uncomfortable about something or need someone to talk to, she's a great resource. Yeah, so I always enjoy conversations with Sabiha.
She's just genuine. A lot of people say they're genuine in this space or in general in life, and they're full of shit.
Yep.
But she is genuine. So it's always nice to talk to someone like that. And I got personally a nice education from both of you guys who have really seen and done it all. It's nice to kind of hear the origins of co-registration, where it's been, and potentially where it's going.
Future's bright as long as we continue to move the ball forward in the right direction. I think that there's some federal mandates and programs that are in place that are going to force progress. Sometimes those are good, sometimes those are bad. In this instance, I think it's going to be really good. I believe that lead generation, co-registration is going to have an incredibly bright future. And the next iteration of co-reg companies aren't even born yet, if you really think about it. How they're going to generate leads, types of ad serving they're going to do, embedded tech that they're going to have available to them. But the future is still incredibly bright. And we haven't even scraped the surface yet of what lead generation can be.
I think so many people are scared instead of looking at the opportunity.
Evolution is being forced at this point in time, which is good. I agree. I hate when, everyone's like, oh, the prices are going to go so high and no one's going to be able to afford to do business. It's not necessarily like an economics problem. It's a supply and demand problem that will root itself out as soon as some of these companies are weeded out.
Well, you heard it from Sean McCormick. It's going to be okay. Sean, what are you doing tonight? What are you doing this weekend?
Yeah, so we probably have some soccer. I have a good friend's engagement party at Fairfield Beach here, which will be nice to spend some time with some friends and eat some good food. And well, hopefully the food's good. We'll see. I'll give a rating on that.
I know you'll give me a report. So
yeah. How about you?
I think we're going to go to the beach tonight because the Northern Lights are around, or the Aurora Borealis, as us scientific people call it.
Yeah.
That kids have baseball tomorrow and maybe a little football on Sunday.
Well, good luck to your kids. Good luck to your Giants, and we'll see you all next week.
Likewise, have fun this weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Come find us on YouTube. Again, we'll post the link with this on all of the sites and all of the pages. But we appreciate the support. Thanks for watching. Take care.
Take care. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You know